guys, it's Jeanette from Back Home Creations. Come on in. Let me know that you're here. Say hi and where you're watching from. Tonight we're going to make some bows. I've talked about making bows. I've made a couple bows online or on a live, but tonight's all about the bow. Hopefully my hubby will spread me out. Hey, Deanne! How are you doing? Did you get flooded? I seen Oklahoma and Texas had some flooding. I was thinking about you. So come on in, everybody. Let me know you're here. We're going to make some bows tonight. We're going to make big bows and little bows. Hi, Patty on YouTube. How are you? So we're going to talk about bow makers. I'm not going to get out the Pro Bow because that thing, no flooding there. Great, Deanne. That Pro Bow still intimidates me. One of these days I'll get it out and just play with it. So I've got what I started with is the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. Hi, Pam. How you doing? Hi, Nancy. This is the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. And then this one is the Easy Bow Designer Pro that one of my girls in my private group got me. And this is just a spool holder. It goes to the Pro Bow because a lot of times you're using multiple ribbons at the same time. But a lot of times I just use it to hold my ribbon. And then there's the Bodabra. Now the Bodabra, there's a piece missing somewhere in here. Little plastic piece that you push down in here, push your ribbon down. I bought this just to hold stuff. That's the only reason I did. Thank you, Kathleen. That's the only reason I bought it. Just to hold my mesh, hold my stuff. Hi, Sue. Well, welcome. You finally retired, PM? Good for you. All right. So the other day I showed you these little bows I made with just some scrap ribbon and some raffia. Be cute on a little wood project. Anything small. Then I was playing around. I have a lot of scrap ribbon. I don't say scrap as in throwaways, as in scrap as in just pieces that are 48 inches, just tons and tons of ribbon. I have a lot of ribbon. I don't make wreaths like I used to, so I still have a lot of ribbon. So I was making bows earlier. I'm thinking about putting some in like little packs to sell. Maybe this one, you can just glue it onto a project. If you wanted to put a hanger on it, you could. But we're going to make one of these. In case you missed it I think it was last week when I made one. Here's one that's a little bit bigger. Same premise, just a little bit bigger. You could even glue these to a headband and put in a little girl's head. So all you need for those, and I thought about making these little kits. Basically, it's enough ribbon to make one of those bows. Let's see what's in this one. I don't want that one. Let's make. I got some ribbon over here all spread out. We'll just make a simple one. Hi, Mary Claire. Oh, any day's a good day that I wake up on the right side of the green. So these are just scrap pieces of ribbon. They're about 6 inches long and they're dovetailed. So if you don't know what a dovetail is, it's where you fold it in half and then snip it at an angle. So if you're going to snip up, you're going to go from the folded side up. And you do that on both ends. I'm going to need a zip tie. I like zip ties versus pipe cleaners. Just holds everything together better. And then we have some little pretty glitzy ribbon. I have a lot of glitzy ribbon. So how is weather doing? It's been raining here off and on in Ohio. So these are 6 inches, these are about 5.5. So we're going to trim a little bit off. You want to be able to see the ribbon below it. These were downstairs. I was cutting some fabric down there, and my son came over and he printed something off on the printer, and he went to trim the paper, and he went to grab for my Ginger scissors. Now I know Deanne knows the story, and Pam might, where Floyd cut a pipe cleaner with my scissors, and about come unglued on him. So when I grabbed him real quick, and I'm like, you can't cut paper with those. He's like, they're just scissors. I'm like, no, they're not just scissors. My husband started laughing. So all we're going to do is, I just put them in front of each other, and I'm just going to scrunch. Now I want to make sure that my edges are turned down. If you have them turned up, it'll look a little wonky. So then I just keep going. Deanne's laughing. She knows what I'm talking about. So I put them side by side. I don't want them on top of each other. And then I just stick them in the little bow maker to hold them for me for a moment. You could use a clothespin. Clothespins are a godsend in bow making. Deanne can tell you I've used clothespins a lot of the time. So I can, if you have trouble seeing the middle of the ribbon, you can fold it in half, put a little crease on it, and then you know where to scrunch. I've done this so much that I could probably scrunch in my sleep. There again, I want the outside edges of the ribbon on both sides to fold down. And I'm just going to put it right there. So this one's going to be a fairly simple one where I can just hold it. Like I said, I like to use zip ties to make my bows, no matter how small. You could use wire, you could use a pipe cleaner. So I get it to where it's not quite tight, no matter what size bow. So I can pull my ribbon however I want. This one's still a little long. You can't see nothing behind it. So we'll just trim that a little bit. That scrunch takes up a little bit of the room. Okay. So you always want to make sure the little box part, that little part that you put the end into, is in the back. And then you want to pull real tight. So we have a little bow that we could put on, wood plaque, but we have to hide the middle. See the pipe or the zip tie in the middle? So now we need to hide that. So you can use another piece of ribbon. So like you can cut a piece of ribbon off the wire and fold it and put that in the middle. Or if you're like me, I have a lot of this little novelty ribbon. I just cut a piece of it. You can either tie it, you can glue it. Kind of depends on the ribbon that I'm putting around the middle, which one I do. So if you guys wouldn't mind sprinkling me out, I'm like 6 or 8 followers away from 7,000. I never thought I'd get here. So if you guys wouldn't mind sprinkling me out, I'd appreciate it. And then when I tie it, I always put a little dab of glue back there just so it doesn't come untied. You just never know. And it's a cute little ribbon or bow. You can put it on all kinds of projects. Okay. So now we've gone over. Hi, Jeannie. How are you? We've gone over the itty bitty ribbons. If you guys hadn't seen this, when Angela was here, we were going thrift shopping. This is old time lion ribbon. It is so cute. We had boxes of it. Oh, thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. Okay. So this one and this one do the exact same thing. This one's just longer and wider. So when you're making your bow on this one and you need to use your guides, see how it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That your ribbon usually covers it. So they came out with this one, was it last year or the year before? And these have wooden dowels. You're not supposed to glue them in. But I glued mine in because they were always coming out. And that was the new, this is all one piece. It's a big plastic piece. And it just slides in there. See? And my dowel rod down here on the end is somewhere in here. When I was putting it away, it's probably behind my shelf. So that's why I just get this out and use it for holding my spools. Or you can just drop it on the floor. I do not make hand bows. I have too much arthritis in my hands. I can't hold it. But we're going to make, let's do the lemon one first. This one will take the longest. So we're going to go from hard to easy, or easy to hard. So Ferris silk ribbon may mean nothing to some of you. To a wreath maker, it's like gold. So Ferris silk and D. Stevens are like, how do I explain it? It's like gold leaf in crafting. I don't know. But this is a 4-inch ribbon. Thank you, Patty. Patty on YouTube says pretty ribbon. So it's lemons. And Ferris silk ribbon does cost a lot, but it is very, very stiff, and the wire is super heavy duty, and it does not go anywhere. Now on 4-inch ribbon, if you've never worked with it before, I was very intimidated the first 2 years of doing lives and stuff to not use 4-inch ribbon. A lot of them have a front and a back with 2 separate pieces of material. So a lot of times, instead of dovetailing it like we do, we just fold it over. And that wire is so thick that it keeps that way. See? So a lot of times we just fold over our 4-inch. But we're going to make a big, beautiful bow. Kind of like this one. I made this one last spring. I just never have done anything with it. It just hangs on my shelf. But we're going to make a bow like that. So if bows intimidate you, no matter how big or how small, just practice. The first 3 months of making wreaths, none of my wreaths had a bow on it because I couldn't make a bow to save myself. But you just got to practice. Go on YouTube, watch people. I think the 2 that I watched the most when I first started wreath making was Damon Oates of Deco Exchange and Scott Waterman of Waterman's Loft. Those 2 are probably the biggest 2 that I watched to learn how to make a bow. So we're going to do, let's do a 12-inch tail. Because I have a project in mind for this, and it's going to need to have a big bow. Now, with this really expensive ribbon comes a lot of bulk. And I don't just twist my ribbon like a lot of people do. I kind of scrunch it down, partly because of my hands. But you always want the right side up, and then the wrong side up. on one or the, they got to be opposite. So I twisted it in the middle. And then we're going to make 7-inch loops. I hope you guys can see this really well. Bring it down there. Okay? Okay. So right here is a 7. So I'm just going to put my finger here. I don't want to pull it tight. I just want to lay my finger in there so I can get my measurement. Then I scrunch it. Like I said, this is hard because it's really, really thick. And then twist it. And then we're going to make another 7-inch loop on this side. Now, the reason I don't mind buying some of the 4-inch ribbon that's kind of expensive, I only make 1 loop on each side and 2 tails. That's all I use of it. It's kind of just to make the back of the bow really stable. So your last loop you won't twist. And then I'm going to come down and I'll go about 13 inches and then fold it. Hi, Tracy. We're making bows. So we'll fold this one, and you could, I folded it under. So you can fold it either way. If it's got a real pretty back, you'll find at Christmas time there'll be a lot of metallics and whatnot. You fold it up, and then you can see that back side. But this one, we don't really care whether it's shown or not. So we'll just fold it under. Okay? So there we have our first loop. I want to drop those on my feet. I've got no shoes on. Okay? So there's our first big loop. So now we're going to go down to 2.5. And I've got just a plain green in here. I like to alternate, solids or very simple patterns with busy patterns. It's pretty much just how you want it. And I dovetail as I go because sometimes I forget. So you want your tails to be all the same length most of the time. Sometimes mine aren't, but I at least make them as long as the back one, because this is the back of our bow. And then if I want them shorter, I can trim them. You can't add ribbon on, but you can take it away. So see how I do that little scrunchy thing? That's just my thing. A lot of people don't do that. Oh. Now solid ribbon, you got to see which is the front and which is the back. Usually you can tell you can barely see the wire in the back. So this time we're going to put 2 loops at 6 inches. And that's why this big wide one is nice, because you can still see your numbers at the side. So we're just twisting and turning. I still use my numbers. So now we're going to do another set of loops. So where I stopped twisting at the very last, I went ahead and kept twisting, because I'm going to do another set. Making sure my clock is the right time. Here about a week ago, I was late by 5 minutes getting on a live because the battery in my clock was going dead. So Floyd changed it for me. I want to make sure it's on the right time. So this is the same length again. And once you get used to making bows, you kind of just fling it out there and cut it. Now it's easier to fluff your bow as you go. So I'm just spreading my my loops out, bringing my tails forward. Okay. And then we're going to go, see, we'll do one more. So these are really big. So I do 1 4-inch, 2 2.5 inches, and 4 1.5 inches. So we're going to go with, I have a bunch of odds and ends too back here. So I want another pattern. I don't want to, yeah, we'll go with this one. So I have a yellow and white stripe. And you can do stripes and polka dots and long stripes and short stripes. You can mix them up. This will be a really thick bow. What we're building here is the stack. When I bring it up out of the bow maker, you'll see the indentation from my little feet here. Now we're going to go down by 1/2 inches now. So I went from 7 to 6, and then now we're going to go down by halves. I like for this bow back here, it's usually the theme of my wreath. So this will be a lemon wreath. I should have put blue in it because I'm going to make a lemon and blueberry wreath. Oh, no twist, just one loop on each side. So we're going to go 1 2 1 2 1 2. And dovetail as you go. Because one time I took a wreath over to the shop that I'm in, and I didn't have my tails dovetailed, and I said I'll never do that again. Okay, so now let's do yellow, green. I had a black. This one. White. So we'll do a tan. Because you can mix tan in white, because this is kind of an off-white back here. So we'll put a white, a tan. I thought I pulled out, maybe I didn't. I have some ribbon in here, and I have a 8-foot tall, hi Pamela, by 6-foot wide ribbon rack out in the hallway. And it's what I use. I keep a lot of my seasonal ribbon out there, and that doesn't even include all my Christmas. So let's see here what we got. Not that one. Sorry guys, I thought I had them all pulled out. I have drawers down here of folded ribbon. But no yellow. What the hey? Let's see, we can do a polka dot. We usually put 4 though. I'm going to run real quick and get a yellow right out of the hallway. Don't leave me. I'm coming. Here we have a yellow little plaid. Okay. So let's do the white. Is everybody's weather getting hot yet? I wonder if we'll get a spring yet this year. Remember last year we didn't get much of one. I haven't bought any ribbon for probably almost a year. I've been using what I got, which means I have a lot of ribbon. So here we're going to go down by another 1/2 inch or a finger width. A lot of us just use our finger. or eyeball it. Hi, Alexandria. So this one will be 2 loops on each side. So when you hear someone making bows and you say 1 loop, 2 loop, it's only what's on one side. Because you're going to, 9 times out of 10, you're going to mimic what's on the other side. Not always. So here's where I use a clothespin sometimes just to hold my ribbon from not going anywhere. This one, it doesn't work on as well because those plastic things are a little bit wide for a clothespin. I'll probably get another clip if I wanted to. I usually only have a problem when I'm making really big bows. So we'll do that one. And then not a solid. Let's do this one. Which one should we do? The black and white stripe or the polka dot? We can do this one. I think I have enough of this one, maybe. Yeah, I should. I have little marks down here on the side of my table from where I make bows. I already know the length of the ribbon in each one. Should we do polka dots or stripe? Nobody's answering. Oh, Mary Claire says polka dots. All right, we'll do polka dots. And you'll always want to use a wired ribbon with bow making because that's, oh, Deanne, you snooze, you lose. Mary Claire beat you. So now this one will go down by a 1/2 inch or a finger length or finger width and only have 1 loop on each side. And there's a name for this bow. It's actually just called the 2-1-2 bow. Other than I start with 1. Sometimes I make this bow without that 4-inch on the back. And then it's really a 2-1-2. Thought that was going to hit you, didn't it? So then you want to bring all your tails forward. So doing this extra work in the middle of stacking your bow, I used to stack them all up on top of each other. But when you do that, then you've got more work to do after you get it out of the bow maker. This is just I like canvas ribbon and I like linen ribbon. I do not like satin ribbon, even though they make some pretty cute colors and patterns. Oh, wrong way. And when I fold ribbon sometimes when it's getting low, you gotta get the kink out of it. So you just run your hand along the wire to get those kinks out of it from being folded. It takes less space when it's folded, not on the roll, but that's why it's on a roll, so it doesn't kink the wire. Come on. See how it keeps wanting to come out? Because there's lots and lots of layers. I don't make these bows too often. Because one, it adds a lot of value and cost to your wreaths. And not everybody cares how many ribbons you have in your bow. But big bows do make a statement. And then we're going to end with our yellow polka dot. So we'll have a couple polka dots and a couple stripes. So this one's just going to have one loop. This is another fair silk, so it's real stiff. Patty says the big bow arrives. I think it's Deanne that always made fun of me when I said I was going to make a little bow. Because I struggle at making small bows that have loops in them because they usually end up big. Okay, so there's our last loop. Some people like just to do a center loop in the middle. Basically, it's just 2 tails and 1 loop right in the middle. Okay, so here comes the prayer to sweet baby Jesus that my bow does not collapse. So I have a pipe cleaner and a big zip tie. So a lot of people will take one hand and they'll go under it and they'll pick it up. I can't do that. Never have been able to. You're funny. So I get my zip tie in here. So you just want to make it to where your bow's not going to fall apart. Because when I take this out, it will tend to want to fold over on itself, and you don't want it to do that. You want to get your pipe cleaner in here. I'm just putting it through the zip tie. Okay, so I'm going to squish. I'm going to tighten up a little bit because I want this the zip tie to be over on the stack. So I'll show you what the stack looks like. So see that divot right there? That's your stack. So I want my zip tie to come over there, and I want my box to go down. So I just pulled it down. Hey Cheryl. So I have a hold of this, and I have my zip tie that went over into that groove, that stack. I want to tighten it just to where, now this could still fold over on itself, but I'm going to hold it. And then I'm going to bring in all of my tails. And I tell this story all the time. I was making one of these huge bows when I first started. My craft room was in the other bedroom. It was a little bit smaller than this one. And I lost my stack, meaning it fell over on itself and the zip tie busted. I guess it was an old zip tie or something. I let the ribbon lay where it fell, and I just shut the lights off, and I shut the door to my room and just went downstairs. Because I'm like, I'm too frustrated. Okay, so we got our tails pulled forward, and they'll tend to want to like spread out. But this is like why we're doing this, to get our loops and stuff. See how I'm still holding onto this? And now I'm spreading out my loops a little bit more. Because while it's in the bow maker, it'll only spread so far. Okay? So now I have them spread out. Biggest thing I always want to make sure is my 2 middle ones are pretty good. Okay. If you use the measurements on the board, that'll help you out a lot. So now that I have my loops spread out and my tails pulled forward, this is when you tighten down like there's no tomorrow. And I keep this on here and I hold it as a handle, because now is the time to fluff. I'm just taking my hand and I'm running it along the wire. and it makes it curve. There's a lot of tails in here, so they'll perk out. When you get it into a wreath or an arrangement or something, you can tend to put them where you want them. Okay, so now we're just using our hand. I'm just going to go back and forth, back and forth. This is how we're going to You're from Durham, North Carolina. I like the Carolinas, but I wouldn't want to live there, or at least on the ocean. I'd rather have tornadoes than hurricanes. So I'm just doing that to all my loops. See how this bow takes a long time to make? Plus, I was trying to let you know what I'm doing. So see how this side looks all nice and shaped, and this side's still flat? Thank you, Patty. I like to use my expensive ribbon in my last and my first ribbons, because this holds your bow up and this holds its shape in the middle. Grab onto it. Now this one's a little more distinct for certain projects, where if you did like the funky bows, I can grab one of those I made. They're more versatile, that you can do a lot of different things on it. Like, I wouldn't put one of these on a lantern. It just kind of wouldn't look right. So see there? So there is our big bow. So this is, when you lay it down, it's about 13, 14 inches wide and about 18 inches long. So there's lots of ribbon in that one. Let me show you this other one. I think I've shown you guys this one before. I made this one a couple weeks ago. Now this one doesn't have the same amount of loops on each side. It's got 2 loops and then 1 loop. And then the next one has 2 loops and 1 loop. And it makes it a lot fuller than just a regular. But these are nice on wreaths. You can put them in cemetery saddles. You can put them on lanterns. You can put them on mailbox swags. There's just all kinds of things that you can do with these. Now, let me show you quickly. If you struggle at the whole loop aspect, and this is how my husband makes a bow. Thank you, Dan. We're going to cut each ribbon 29 inches. All of it. Every single one's going to be 29 inches. So we're going to do that one. See, when I start getting down to like this long, that's what I use for those itty bitty bows. So I don't throw ribbon away until it gets less than 6 inches. Then I start throwing it away. Okay, so there's that one. So we need 3 1.5 is these. 1.5 and 2.5 and 4 are your main sizes of your ribbon. They do make 2 inch. They do make 1 inch. They make some 7/8 inch that I do like. So that one, we'll do this one. And then we'll do this one. And if you're looking for any ribbon for projects, let me know, because I started selling like 5 yards. I have been selling 5 yard lengths of ribbon. I sell it 4 of them will be 20 yards. That's enough to make a wreath, or I can do smaller ones. But anyway, okay, so we have tag on here. We got about 5 minutes. So here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to dovetail them, but we're just going to take a bow maker and we're going to take 5 ribbons. I used all plain, but for solids, but it'd be okay. Put that one in the middle. All right. So we're going to go up. Let's see. It's been a while since I made one of these. Okay, so we're going to go up 7 inches. So all these are about 28, 29 inches. So we're going to go up 7 right here. And we're going to scrunch like I did in the very first one. So we're going to scrunch. And then we're going to go to 12 because we want a 6-inch loop. Right? So here's our loop. And then we need to twist. We're going to put that down in there. So there's one loop. And we had to twist because we needed the right sides up on our tails. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go 7 inches. Move it down. We're going to go to 12. And we're going to stick it together. And then we're going to twist. Now that one's a little bit longer. They'll end that way and then you'll just trim them. And then we put it in there. And then each tail goes on each side of the loop. And same thing over here. So these are all the same length. So now we're going to do a 7-inch tail. And we want to go down an inch. So we go to 11, which will make a 5.5-inch loop. And we'll go to this side. So we're just going back and forth. I don't particularly like this bow a whole lot because it's not full enough, but it's what my husband can do. So back to 7 inches, move it down, go to 11, and put it together. And then we put this one on this side. See, we'll have a lot of extra, but it's how people can learn. 7 inches scrunch. Move it down. And then we're going to go to 10. And whoops. See, I can't make hand bows because I have a hard time holding it. And then we get under here just like we did the other one. I'm not going to put any pipe cleaners in it because I'll probably take it apart. But here, where you thought you were challenged, we'll need to cut our tails. So if you're not following me, I'd love for you to be part of my friends and family. When I went live, I was only like 6 or 8 away from 7,000, which I never thought I'd get here. Then these you would just end up trimming. Floyd calls it the Floyd bow. But you can see also how you can use a lot of, I'm not going to cut these because I'll take this bow apart. But you would cut what tails you want shorter, and it just makes a little loopy bow on there. So the big bow took a lot of our time, but they do take time. That's usually why I make them prior to making my rings online. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. If you're not part of Crafting Around the Clock, you need to be, because there's so much to learn and so much inspiration there in one group. It's unbelievable. So make sure you come back by and see me again, and I hope to see you. Have a good night.